Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Super Subs Podcast, hosted by Harish and Narv. The podcast where two brothers talk all things footy, drop takes hotter than a manager's seat after a 5 game slump, and discuss who deserves our prestigious award of Super Sub of the Week. This episode, since we're covering just a couple games, instead of the Super Sub of the Week, we will select the man of the match. For either of the games. And then, yeah, it's just football talk that feels like you're here in the room with us. So lace up your boots as we're getting underway. So today we'll cover the two Champions League games, Arsenal PSG at the Emirates, and then we'll cover Barca Inter, do some predictions for the upcoming Europa League games, Conference League games, just have some chat. So, Narv, who is your man of the match from the two Champions League games?
Um, I will say there were a lot to choose from. But I think today's game, I'll have to go with uh oh, man, there's a lot of options or I think there were two main options from today's game, but I'm gonna go with Denzel Dumfries just because um past two games, Inter Milan, they've kind of been in a slump. Um what does that mean?
His celebration, the knee
Oh, yeah.
slide.
Oh, yeah. Um, yeah, because the last two games they were missing them. Well, the game versus Roma, he got like 30 minutes in, but lost that game, and they lost in the Coppa Italia semifinal to AC Milan. And so Inter Milan, they just rely so heavily on both their wing backs, and I think today was a game where you just see like he's I know a lot of people are on that Jeremy Frimpong hype, but I think Dumfries is one of the most complete wingbacks out there.
Yeah, he was unbelievable today. That's a great shout. He was definitely on my list too. But since you went with today's game, I'll pick someone from yesterday, and I'll go with Gigi Donnarumma. Um, I thought that was one of his best performances. I know he's gotten a lot of slack for his past performances with on the club level. On the national stage, he's always played really well for Italy, but when it comes to club, like he'll make a blunder mistake that kind of costs them here and there. He had one against Real Madrid a couple seasons ago. Um, but I mean, dude, he was just insane. I mean, I honestly thought Arsenal could have taken it from PSG after the first 30 minutes or so. And uh, man, if uh, I almost said Buffon, but if Donnarumma didn't make some of those crazy saves, it could have been a completely different second leg going into next week.
It's funny because I know PSG was your team that you predicted to win the Champions League, and Inter Milan was my team, and that was from the get go.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was leaving yesterday's game up to you to for the man of the match. But that was a good shout. But there's actually another player who I thought could have been man of the match for PSG.
Is it a
Um,
is it a kid in the midfield?
yeah, Jao
Yeah.
Neves.
Yep. Yeah. So those listening, go back to like episode 6 or something where we kind of did our Champions League predictions, and we you can listen to like who we picked and why. I think we both discussed too. Barca were kind of a scary team, but we chose Inter and PSG. But also we did our what was it like the transfer
Hmm.
11?
Yep.
And Narv had this kid in there, and he spoke really highly of him before kind of the season he's had. So I'll let you talk about his performance. We'll jump into the Arsenal PSG game. I definitely wanted to touch on his performance. So why don't you go ahead and talk about why he stood out to you?
He, I think defensively, he reminds me a lot like, I know this might be a hot take, but N'Golo Kante, his off
Mhm.
the ball work. Obviously on the ball, I think João Neves might be a better passer, whereas Conte was definitely a lot better at carrying the ball. Uh, but I think, yeah, João Neves, he's everywhere. Like when you have the ball, like you don't have much time to think or do anything because he'll be right on you. I think the one tackle he had where Arsenal was claiming for a PK, I think,
On Mourinho.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a clean tackle, but I think that might have been like if PSG do go on to advance, that might be like tackle that kind of gets them to that stage. But yeah, he was immense. I thought.
He had a tackle on Saka too in the second half where Saka was kind of doing his trademark cut into his left foot and trying to get a shot off, but like as he was taking that touch before his shot, like Neves kind of stuck his foot in there. But yeah, I mean, you think about it like Conte, it's like he's considered one of the best midfielders to ever play in the Premier League. Just all around type of player, especially on the defensive side. But like that's actually a pretty good shout because like Conte too, like he never seemed to get tired. Like his motor, his engine was insane, and you see that with João Neves too throughout the whole
Yeah.
game. Like he just doesn't get tired, and uh, I feel like the one criticism he gets a lot is just his stature. Like he does have like that baby face. I mean, he's only what 20 or something like that.
Yeah, he's still young. Hmm.
Um, like he's still super young, and I guess his size and stuff, but like he definitely doesn't play like he's small. Like, and he's just like he's definitely annoying if you're not like on your team. He's just kind of like always hounding you.
Exactly. Yeah, that was one unfair criticism I gave when um, I first followed him, like Benfica days, because I know there were a lot of noise around him getting a big move, and I had my doubts a little bit if he did come to the Premier League. But the more I watched him at Benfica, it was like, yeah, this kid might be the real deal. And it wasn't really fair to kind of make that prediction just based on his stature, just because we've seen players like Conte, like not the most physically, um, not the biggest presence physically, but I mean,
Hmm.
crazy player off the ball.
And then on the other side, a player that we have to give a shout out to also is I think Lewis Skelly. Uh, Desiree Doué, dude, he's been absolutely insane this year, and I think he's deserved to start over Barcola. Um, Unfortunately for Barcola, though, I feel like it's really hurt his confidence in the past few months when he's been dropped coming off the bench. Like even this game where he had a few chances and he just kind of second guessed himself. Even that one shot he had, where it was a really good chance, he kind of just
The one he dragged it wide.
yeah scuffed it. And
Yeah,
I feel like a confident Barcola would have buried that, but so I was really excited for Desiree Doué today to watch him versus Lewis Skelly, but I think Lewis Skelly won this matchup. And it's just like insane how he's still a teenager playing at this level. He inverted a ton to this game and looked pretty good in the midfield. Like that one sequence I remember is like when he got the ball and like made a turn in the midfield and like bodied off uh, Vitinha, I think, and then slipped it to Martinelli through goal. Like that was just unbelievable. But yeah, just Lewis Skelly being able to shut down Desiree Doué. I thought that was a great matchup to watch.
and I think on the opposite side, this was one of the few games where I've seen Yuri and Timber uh, not play bad, but really have a tough time.
Oh yeah, Vicho was giving him so much trouble. What did you think of that penalty shout he had?
Yeah, I think you got to. It's a tough one because outside the box, it's given as a foul any day.
Hmm.
I know if it would be given as a PK, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's soft," but I mean, if it's outside the box, that's called all the time, and even sometimes given a yellow for like a stop in a transition. Um, so I think Timber got away with it a bit.
I think it goes back to this past weekend when Fran Torres got fouled by Rudiger, and uh, look back on it, and it definitely looked like a penalty, but Torres tried to sell it by like kind of flailing his arms, and Varaskelia kind of did the same thing where he kind of sold it where he didn't really have to. Kind
Hmm.
of made it look like he was flopping.
Yeah, and when players, based on their reactions, like Bicho was like pretty adamant, running at the ref, like pleading his case, and so you can tell like it definitely should have been looked at a bit more.
And then what did you think about the battle between? I feel like it was just battles all over the field in this game, especially on the wings. So Due, Skelly, I think we have to give that to Lewis Skelly.
Hmm.
Timber, Vicha, I think that's probably Vicha.
Yeah,
Martinelli, Hakimi. I think Martinelli got his number a few times. Um,
I think so too. But then it was just the final product. Well, I guess the one where Skelly slipped him in that you were talking about just a few moments ago to Martinelli. I don't know if that was more of a bad shot or a good save. Um,
he definitely could have put it in the corner a little more.
yeah, it felt like it was a little to the middle. But I mean, yeah, I think Martinelli, he got into like really good positions. But I don't know if it was due to bad defending or more so Hakimi just he likes to push forward a bit more, so he kind of gets
Mhm.
lost defensively at times.
Yeah, that happened in the second half too when Declan Rice was carrying the ball and was able to feed Trossard down the wing. Hakimi was just pushed up way too high, lost position. But I mean, that was another again crazy one-on-one save by GG.
Do we? I don't know. For Arsenal, you think?
Oh, we got to talk about one more matchup though on the right side. Who do you think won that one? Saka and Nuno Mendes.
I thought that was a pretty close matchup, but I think Saka might have just edged it. Um, but I think it was just more so because Saka, like if Arsenal were to get anything out of the game, it would come through Saka.
Oh yeah.
But I still think Mendes had a pretty good game. It wasn't as much of a lockdown versus like when he played Salah and um I'm blanking. Who did they play the last round?
Against Villa.
Oh yeah, and against he was shut down versus Salah, and then versus Villa shut down versus like Morgan Rogers, and
Rogers. Although Rashford did get his number a few times.
that's true. Yeah,
But
shuts
no,
out.
but yeah, I mean Nuno Mendes. I mean he's still one of the best left backs in the world.
Oh
But yeah, to your point, I think Saka. I have to give Saka the slight edge on this one.
yeah, but it's very tight. Um, you want to go into the midfield battles?
Yeah, let's do that.
I think PSG they even though they got the win, I think it's a uh like a obviously any win's a good feeling, but I think it's even a better feeling they got this win with Vitinha, who's usually their most influential player, having more of his quieter games.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was quiet. I would say it was a pretty poor game by him. He was misplacing a lot of passes that just very unlike him. And he just wasn't very influential. But like, I was just, especially with Thomas Party out, I was like, man, this PSG midfield is gonna rip through Arsenal. Um, I was expecting Declan Rice to play like that holding midfield role, unfortunately, and I mean that really limits him. Like he should always be the 8, but I thought this was one where PSG needed to take advantage of Party being out, um, and I don't think they really were able to. And it came down to Vitinha just some of his
Sloppy.
passes. Yeah, he was sloppy. It was just pretty shocking.
Yeah. Um and then on the flip end, I think one player uncomfortable conversations because he was a ghost.
Yep.
El Captain.
Yeah, Mr. Odegaard. He's been shockingly not just this game. I think he's been shockingly bad this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I really think it's something with that injury.
that he picked up.
Yeah, when he was playing in for Norway.
Hmm.
Because if you like this past weekend, I was looking into it a little more. I didn't realize like he tore his like ligament, like I forget what it's called, but or he ruptured his ligament, and uh, let's assume it's fully healed. Like apparently, like that ligament, even when it's healed, it like permanently lengthens slightly. So I'm sure there's like some uh mind muscle connection there, has to be. And then also he's probably just not fully healed because what he just doesn't look the same. He just like looks slightly off the pace a little. And it's not just this game. I feel like the whole year he's just looked pretty poor since coming back from that injury.
Yeah, and I don't. It's hard because I feel like yeah, that injury could play a role, but um, what I find a bit more concerning is like I just feel like he's a passenger in the game. Like it's not like he gets shrugged off or anything physically, but it's just like he's just non-existent, which is like really scary considering he's supposed to be like the one creating the opportunities, influencing the game. Like he's kind of like just a passenger. Just backward, sideways passes. Um, a lot of just busy work, like nothing influential at all.
Which is completely opposite from last year. Some of the balls he would play, like you wouldn't even see it from your TV screen, but he was somehow picked out those passes. Um, but I feel like it's also down to Arteta. Like if he's really, I think he's not like a lot of people are saying, oh, he's one season kid, like washed. I don't think that's the case. I truly think it's due to an injury. But
Hmm.
you have someone like Ethan Wary who's naturally a 10 too. Do you think this is on Arteta to make that ballsy call and
Yeah, I
bring
think.
him on?
Yeah, I think. Because what he came on like 90th minute. I think he
Yeah.
definitely should have came on a lot earlier. He could have made a change. Like he could have made some difference coming on earlier.
Oh yeah. It was kind of sad to see even like Mourinho having much more of an influence than Odegaard.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
but how much do you think it played? Do you think if Party had been available for this game, uh, that Arsenal might have pulled out with a win?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think Party would have made a difference, honestly. Because yeah, Arsenal like I feel like their chances only came from the set pieces, uh, minus the Martinelli chance. Um, so I don't know. Part Thomas Partey too. Like I think the PSG's like midfield as well as their front three just have too much of an engine where they'd still cause issues. I think this game could have gone a bit more PSG's way, especially with how the first 25 minutes kind of went.
Yeah, that first half hour, it was just like PSG attack
Yeah,
after attack. It
exactly.
was just like Arsenal had no room to breathe. I feel like
Mhm.
it all changed once that penalty shout for Timber. They kind of looked into it, and then ever since then, I feel like the energy kind of shifted. The Arsenal's like, all right, we got away with it. Like, let's pick it up, boys.
Yeah, exactly. Um, it was a at first I was a bit worried for Arsenal just how early PSG scored. Um, but that man Dembele again, he kind of started off the move, collecting the ball way deep and then finishing it off. Uh, but I will say towards you remember, like obviously you remember the PSG, or not PSG, the Barcelona Liverpool game where Barca had the crazy lead in the first leg and Liverpool came back.
Yeah,
Um, can you remember what could have been the decisive moment for Barca to move on from the first leg?
against
Liverpool.
Liverpool. No.
You remember Dembele, his like when he was one on one with the keeper and he just like played it right into Allison.
Oh yeah.
You know what chance reminded me of that in this game? Ramos at the end. I was
Where
like,
he hit the
bro,
where he smacked the crossbar?
yeah. I was like, why'd you toe poke it like that? Just I feel like that was such a good chance that um kind of got overlooked by a lot of people. Um, I think that was a chance that like he really could have buried to give him a really comfortable lead going into his second leg.
Yeah, he looked so nonchalant and he was just like, am I really about to be one on one with Raya?
Exactly. Like I know it hit the crossbar, but like I think he could have done a lot better
Oh
um,
yeah.
with that chance.
Yeah, that and then also like we talked about earlier, Barcola, that chance he
Hmm.
dragged wide, like he just did not look confident. Like, yeah, to your point, going 2-0, even 2 goals up going into back to Paris, I feel like is a huge win versus 1-0. Anything is possible.
Hmm.
Insert Kevin Garnett. But I like how you brought up the set piece point. Because every time Arsenal had a set piece, it seemed like they were about to score. Um,
Which is surprising because PSG have some big boys in the back with Marquinhos and Pacho.
yeah, I was looking into their stats a little more because I was like, dude, Arsenal look like they're about to score every single time. Uh, so let me read this out to you. In Ligue 1 this season, only 4 teams have conceded more set piece goals than PSG. Uh, and they're all at 11 set piece goals that they've conceded. And PSG, uh, out of all the goals that they've conceded in Ligue 1, over 33% have come from directly from set pieces. So it's definitely
Mm,
like a weak point, which is interesting considering like they're not like a small team,
interesting.
but that could be something that bites them in in the second leg.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll hold prediction for the second leg to the end. Um, but
But it was crazy coming into this game. I don't know if you knew, but PSG over the weekend they took their first L domestically.
oh, yep, to Nice. Yeah, yeah, they got
Crazy.
smacked 3-1. Although they probably should have came away with a point or maybe even a win, but that keeper for Nice, I've never heard of him, but he was going crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. PSG their expected goals was 3.16, and they had 13 shots on target.
Jeez. Yeah, that's insane. That keeper, I forget who, but they have a pretty big matchup this weekend too against Strasbourg, but we'll see if they rest players. It's a pretty big game considering Strasbourg, they've picked up steam this year.
Yeah, and
Same things they can come.
Arsenal. I think Arsenal will rest their players this weekend too, but they have a tricky matchup in Bournemouth this weekend as well. So
It was funny to see like some of their injured players in the tunnel, like Cali Fury. I'm like, I keep forgetting he's on this team. Like, it's like,
Mhm.
bro, this man. like
It was
I
funny.
thought he was healthy enough to play, or at least be on the bench.
Yeah, I guess not. It was also really funny seeing some of the memes and stuff where when Arsenal walked out of the tunnel for like the anthem and stuff, and their tifo was like so lame.
I missed that. What was
It was
it?
just a
Was
it
it
was just
just
a red banner with like a cannon.
that's funny, dude? Yeah, Arteta. He's I don't know if you saw one of the interviews with like Arsenal's personnel, but they were saying Arteta really wants to change like the Emirates to be the similar atmosphere of like the Bernabeu or Anfield.
Mhm.
And that's what he's been trying to create with different groups within Arsenal. So that's why they like before the game. I didn't see that part, but they had like the red flares going in the streets and it was super dark and everything.
Oh, interesting.
So he's trying to create that vibe,
Yeah,
but
get
it's
the vibes going.
unfortunate that that was a fail.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, actually, let's go ahead and just do a prediction for this game.
Mhm,
What do you think and keep in mind, Timber is probably questionable. He did go out with an injury.
mhm.
I'm not sure Dembele how serious his injury is too, but just keep that in mind. But what do you expect for the second leg?
Um, I think Luis Enrique, he's not the type of manager that's just gonna sit back to protect the lead. So I think the game might end, and I think Arsenal will have to go kind of obviously foot on the gas next leg. So I think it might be a 2-2.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be high scoring as well. I think PSG are gonna finish their chances this time around, so I'm expecting like a 3-1 type of game for PSG.
Oh, one-sided,
hmm
3-1.
I think Arsenal will definitely have their chances too, but PSG
Mhm.
will catch them out, and they're gonna tuck in their chances. They hit the post once. Raya made a couple of saves here, and they had just dragged like some chances Barcola. So I think they're gonna finish those in the second leg. But let's go to the other semifinal. Your Inter boys. This was had to take a breather, man. This was
Not a game I was expecting to
one
turn
of
out.
it was entertaining though, man. Barca, that's back to back entertaining games from them. Like, man, it's like every
Yeah,
time
honestly, it
we
might be one
watch
of the
them,
most memorable, up there as one of the more memorable Champions League games. It's
yeah.
gonna go down as that for sure.
Um, but yeah, let's start it off with in the first minute of the game, that man
30
threw,
seconds.
yeah, within 30 seconds, insane finish. Just that was a striker's instinct, just baller instinct there.
And that's what we've been crying out for from Turam because we've both said it. He has the quality, but just doesn't have the finishing touches yet. But like I feel like this season he's really grown into um, that lethal striker.
Yeah, that was. I don't think anyone expected Inter. I was hurt. I had my parlay. I had a 6 leg parlay on this game. Every single one hit except that one, which was Barca to score first. Um, so I don't know if it was me, but I feel like the rest of the world probably would have thought Barca uh, kind of gets the lead, gets the goal first. But let's talk through the game a little more. So that happened first minute, and then Barca had a chance coming from Lamine Yamal. We'll dig into that performance a little more, um, but down the road, Inter again they score their second goal. Um, Coming from was that Dumfries scoring that second one?
Hmm. Acrobatic a
That
little bit.
yeah, kind of like overhead kick, and that was like what the 20th minute.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, before those two goals, it seemed like Barca had a couple of chances, both from Torres. He had one that he should have slotted one of those in
Yeah.
that hit wide. But did you feel like at 2-0 that maybe this was Inter was maybe going to run away with this or kind of seal this up? Especially like Barca just came off 120 minutes, like GG, like maybe they're tired.
Yeah, I thought Barca definitely would get a goal, but the way that Inter is set up, um, and the type of manager Inzaghi is, that's why I had Inter going to the final. Was huge fan of Inzaghi. Like I was a little um surprised with his management. I thought he would try to defend a bit more, protect the lead. Um, but I mean, props to him trying to just play it out still. Um, but I definitely thought 2-0 up, Inter would have seen it out.
Yeah, and you could see I know Dumfries, he got that assist, got the goal too, but throughout the game, I mean, he was your man of the match. You can see uh, how much they were missing him
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, let's be real, Darmian, he's decent, but just not the same. And then Demarco, he definitely didn't have like the same impact throughout the game as he typically does. I feel like because he had to kind of watch Lamine Yamal a little, but like he's a huge upgrade from Augusto and even Bastoni. Like Bastoni fills in nice, but he's not a natural, wing back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like especially Dumfries, you could see how much of an impact he made because that first 20 minutes, like it's kind of back and forth, but a lot of that attack was coming from his side.
Yeah, it's really funny. Because to your point, this morning, I have a coworker who's a Barca fan, and he was asking me like what my thoughts were on the game, and I was like, honestly, I think Barca might pull this one away with the win because they're at home, and uh, I think Marcus Thuram and Denzel Dumfries are not going to be playing because I think they're still hurt. Because Dumfries only just got the minutes last game. Thuram hasn't played the past few games. So I was like, without them too, like I think Inter might lose the first leg.
Dang. Yeah, and those two guys had the biggest impacts. Um, but then shortly after his goal, 5 minutes later, like man, Lamine Yamal, dude, that was insane.
That woke up Barcelona because I think Inter was dominant prior to that Lamine Yamal goal. I know Barca had a chance here and there, but I think overall, like they were dominated, and that that goal by Yamal, I think, woke up Barca.
it was like the Jarred goal versus AC Milan
Mm-hmm.
Champions League final. Hello. Yeah, Lamine did like the let's go too. Like,
hmm
um, but I mean, let's stop and talk about Lamine. Is he the best player in the world right now?
I think quality wise, yeah, I think so. But I still
But
think importance wise for Barca, like I think Pedri still won. But I think
y-
in terms of
yeah,
talent ID, Lamine Yamal definitely.
yeah, I feel like Barca they definitely won't be the same without Pedri. But dude, Lamine Yamal, I feel like he's the best player in the world, um, hands down. I think he's better than Rafinha too. Um, Saka much better than him too, and
Oh
it's like
yeah,
it's insane. He's a kid still, like 17. It's insane, but like,
scary to think what he's gonna be at like his prime years, like in the 20s.
dude, he plays like a grown man already, and like, this might be a hot take, but some of the things he does, like, I've seen only a few players do, like Messi and Ronaldo, maybe Neymar, but like some of the things he does, like he just plays with like the game just seems so slow for him. Like it doesn't seem
Mhm.
too fast.
This might, I don't know if this is pushing it, but I think even at this age, he's better than what Messi was in terms of this age. I think the best, like, I think the only other teenager who's been like this crazy, um, that I can remember is like Wayne Rooney. I think other than Wayne, like, I've never seen a teenager like this talented since Wayne Rooney, I'd say.
How old was R9 when he broke through? Because he's the youngest Ballon d'Or winner, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Even though, well, this is a different topic, but I don't think he deserved that Ballon d'Or. But we'll save that for
let's
another
not
day.
let's not digress.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, just like dude, he's 17, just like blows my mind. Like at times he just when he plays, I feel like even Messi and Ronaldo, like their primes, like or Neymar's prime, like I feel like Lamine Yamal is already like not there, but like he can easily get there. Like you can
Mhm.
see a clear path. because I think what the difference is with like Messi and Ronaldo is they did it for so long, um, consistently, and like so Lamine is like just kind of getting started there. So like if he just does what he's doing throughout his career, like he's gonna go down as the greatest of all time, which is
Yeah,
insane.
and like he's so enjoyable to watch. Like the audacity to like pull off some of these moves. Like he doesn't just play like a easy like sideway passing whatever. Like he'll face up the man like his opponent one on one. I think there was one sequence in the second half where like pulled a step over, then did the roulette on Turam. I was like, yo,
Oh,
Lamine,
towards the end of the game.
yeah,
Oh, dude, and that was like if he gave up that ball, like they would have been under pressure too in their
yeah,
own half. Like
yeah. He's
Endrick was trying to do that in the Copa del Rey, and he failed.
yeah, Lamine Yamal. He's like plays intelligently, but then also with like no fear. Uh, so he's so enjoyable to watch. And Barcelona, I think they Rafinha. He's yeah, his numbers are off the charts, but like I don't think he's the best. I think
Dude,
without
look,
Pedri and Lamine Yamal, Barca like they live and die by Pedri and Lamine Yamal.
agreed, yeah, and just watching Lamine Yamal, like, dude, he makes me feel some type of way, dude. Just like crazy feelings, dude. Just like chills, like be like hair
Mhm.
sticking up, bro. Like it's insane watching
Yeah,
him.
because
Like,
you gotta like he's 17.
but it's like, yeah, even if he was
It's
like 20 something, it's like it still like gives me like goosebumps, watching him because like
Mhm.
there's like just some things like towards the end where it was tied 3-3, and he hit that crossbar. I was like,
Yeah.
did he mean to do this? But like when you
I think
watch
he
it,
did.
yeah, you watch it again and again. It's like, holy crap! Like he meant that, like insane. And
Funniest
like
was
I've
watching
never seen
Rafinha's
that.
Funniest was watching Rafinha's reaction on that because he thought it went in and he's like cheesing mad hard, and then it hit the post. He's like, ah.
I missed that. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, I was just like watching it over and over. Like I've never seen like that would have been one of the greatest goals that I've ever seen
Mhm.
if you pulled that off. Um, but another thing is like the game seems so slow, but like teams literally seem to double team him at times today. It was like it was Mkhitaryan and DeMarco. I mean, you've spoken about Bastoni a lot being elite, and you've spoken highly about him this year, and I've kind of come around to like I see why he's spoken so highly, but like even today, DeMarco would be doubling up with Mkhitaryan. Uh, Bastoni would come at times. Like even Bastoni was like
Yeah,
Bastoni was like getting kind of like you could tell he was kind of scared to get
he's a
embarrassed,
little uncomfortable. Yeah, and
and it's like insane
it,
that he's doing this against like three players at a time.
yeah, I know. Inzaghi he basically came out post game and said about Lamine Yamal. He said, "I haven't seen a player like Lamine Yamal in the last 8 or 9 years. Way to put uh, two or even three players on him throughout the match."
Mm. And I think that definitely hurt DeMarco's ability to go forward.
Yeah, because Inter kind of rely on him and Dumfries kind of pushing up high because they got the quality on the attack.
Hmm. And I know we spoke about this about a month ago, uh, but has your Ballon d'Or kind of rankings changed since then? Like I know we said Salah should win it, but um, from a month ago, has it changed, or do you suspect it to change?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely change. Um, I think it's hard. Um, I think Pedri should get first and Lamine Yamal second. Um,
I do that all the time, like Lamine and
but
Lamal.
I think I think it could interchange between the two of them. Because I think, well, was it the second goal where Pedri, like, this is the instance where it happened all season where he's the one that gets the pre assist, so obviously it doesn't
Hmm.
show up in the stat sheet. But that ball to Rafinha, that was like inch perfect. Uh, and it all started from Pedri. Like, how he even picked that pass was wild.
Oh yeah, perfectly weighted and right over the defender too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. I feel like Dembele still. I think if PSG or Barca win it, it's going to be much closer. Um, I think Dembele still is somewhat in the running, but I think from Barca's perspective, if one of them were to win it, I think it's going to be Lamine Yamal. Um, but I do think Pedri should be ranked. I agree, should be ranked higher than Rafinha though.
Yeah, Rafinha is. Yeah, he has so much goals and assists, but nah, he's not there. Um,
But yeah,
and then
speaking of
oh,
the
go
game,
ahead.
real quick. So yeah, we tied it up 2-2 going into half, and I feel like after Barca scored that second, it was the rest of the half or the last like 10 minutes were kind of all Barca. They were close to getting that second. Um, and then the second half comes around, and Lautaro Martinez pulls up pretty quick and uh, with an injury. I think it was a non-contact injury too. Uh, how much do you think if he's out next leg? How much of an impact do you think that makes?
That's gonna be big. Yeah, Taremi's not bad, but he's not the same level as Martinez. Neither is uh, Arnautovic, so that's gonna be a huge loss.
Yeah, and I feel like Turam
Even
and
though today was one of his quieter games in the first half.
yeah. Although I do feel like Turam and Laturo, like those two, they play well together too. Like when they're both in, they both play better.
Yeah, they're definitely like a yin and a yang. They
Hmm.
got they got traits that kind of complement each other.
And then, the second half goes along, and Barca's kind of in the front foot. They have a ton of chances, but there goes your man again, Dumfries, uh, getting that goal. So it went up 3-2, I think
Off
there,
a set piece again. Yeah.
off another set piece. But yeah, when they scored that third one, what were your thoughts? Did you think Inter? There's no way they can.
Yeah, I was like, this time around, I was like, surely Inzaghi's gonna learn from it from the first half and shore it up. Um, and then Barca ended up scoring off. Well, they give it as an own goal because it came off crazy strike by Rafinha off the
Mhm.
crossbar, hits Summer in the head. Um, so it goes down as an own goal, but yeah, basically from Rafinha. Um, and it sucks that Summer had to go down as an own goal just because he had a crazy game.
He
Also,
he had a lot of good saves. Yeah.
that went under the radar. So it was a little disappointing from Inzaghi because it's literally a minute, not even after Inter took the lead. Um, they conceded the third. I was like, come on. Uh, I was like, I know he's more like he would have definitely shored up the defense, but
Yeah, I feel like you keep talking about Inter, it's what they've done this season so far in the past, but I feel like they've been kind of struggling the past more recent times. Um, and it may be, I mean, they're a slightly older team now, but I don't know, like the past 3 games, they haven't scored a goal. They conceded a lot. So I don't know if it's just, and they do look like a step off from the beginning of the year. Um, so I'm kind of worried for them going into the second leg. I know it's at home and uh, there's a lot of people that are kind of saying, "Oh, Barca, they're gonna lose now that they didn't secure the first leg in Spain." But I'm like, I I'm kind of worried for Inter going to the second leg, especially this was off the back of 120 minutes of a hard fought game for Barca, and it did not look like relative to Inter they looked like they were playing with the same energy.
Hmm. Yeah, that was a little concerning. Barca didn't look like they just came off playing 120 minutes.
No.
Um, and it was back to my point of like Inzaghi not shoring up the defense. It was annoying because after they conceded a third goal, which to Barca, which leveled the game, Inter again they started looking like the team that was good to score the next goal, and then all of a sudden you see, yeah, they just came off like long term injuries a bit, but taking off their most threatening two players and then shoring it up, I was like, dude, it's a little too late to shore up your defense now. Like, you look like you're on the front foot to grab the fourth, and you take out your two biggest threats in Thuram and Dumfries. Um, it was just a little questionable, a bit from Inzaghi this match.
Yeah, but I think it just goes to show how elite Barca is and just some of the individuals. Um, because Inter, I mean, they have a lot of experience on that team. So you would think, especially when they were 2-0 up, I was worried for Barca, but it's like it's never a question of how much Barca like are they going to score today. You know, it's like
Hmm.
it's more like a defensively. Um, and then just Lamine Yamal, like Inter did everything they could. They put three guys on him, and he was still able to do what he did. Pedri was able to string some passes. Um, so at that, you just got to hold your hand up, like we did what we could. Um, so I kind of feel bad for Inter, but like it's also like they there's not much they could have done there.
Hmm.
Um,
I will say that
yeah.
offsides call where Mkhitaryan scored. Oh man, literally, if his shoe size was maybe like, let's just say he's a shot size 11, like if he was a 10 and a half, like literally he would have been onside.
Dude, by a big toe,
I
insane.
don't know. They released that VAR like 10 minutes later from like when it happened. So it's like,
No,
y'all messing
no,
around back there. What y'all trying to boost Barca here?
but it goes to the point of like Wenger when he was saying like VAR, like it is the rule though. Like if you're any part of your body that can score is ahead of the last defender, it's offside. So it's a rule, but like to Wenger's point is like, how is that big toe an advantage?
Hmm.
You know, like that's what the offside rule is meant for. But like, I get it. Like objectively, like you can score with your toe, but like you look at it, it's like, did he really have an advantage because of that big toe being in front?
Yeah, like like when I first saw it, I was like, Mkhitaryan, he's definitely lost a lot of his pace now. So like he definitely had to time it perfectly. So I was like, oh, there's no way he was off.
Mm.
But then like when you see it, you're like, ah, really just by a toe. Um, but I think another player I want to give credit to for Inter. I think he's one of the top midfielders who I don't think he's really got talked about this year at all. Barella, um, he was doing really well breaking the press of Barca. So I think Inter they don't have the most the greatest of talents in the bunch. Like I think out of the four semifinals team, they're the least talented, but I think they have the most intelligent players. Um, where they're one of the few that can really expose the high press of Barca. Um, so I think the second leg they'll still have a good shot at moving on.
Yeah, there were a lot of instances. I've had that on my notes. I completely forgot to mention, but like the high line by Barca, I'm surprised Inter didn't expose it a little more because there were times when DeMarco or one of the midfielders like held it on for a second too long, but like
Mhm.
they had a chance behind Barca with that high line.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
like, yo, just play it.
Yeah, they're just like just this little step too behind, but they have the players to break it. Like I think they're one of the most intelligent out of the four teams left. Even if they don't have the most talented of individuals.
And it always amazes me now with like not just their players, but like how intelligent Inzaghi is, especially how he's transformed Çalhanoğlu from like being like a 10 to like he's basically a defensive mid now. And for him, like
Yeah. For
it's insane
listeners,
how he's transformed.
for listeners, like you literally just got to go on YouTube and look up Çalhanoğlu highlights from when he was at like Bayer Leverkusen. Um, like he was like the one of the ideal like number 10 roles that you'd want on your squad. Like nowadays he's like the deepest midfielder for Inter. And he's solid too at his job.
Oh, yeah, he's great. He has someone like Barella next to him that can help defensively, but like it's so smart by Inzaghi to like have someone like that uh play defensive mid because then he can also you have an extra guy that can pick out these crazy passes, help on attack. So it's yeah, brilliant in Inzaghi's part. But let's hop into
Sorry,
predictions.
one last point I want to make. I know Darmian came on for Dumfries, but I'm really surprised he didn't use the one player who I feel like is a really good utility to have. Zaliski. Zaliski came
Mm,
from Roma. Like Darmian's like solid, but I guess he was trying to just stir up the defense at that point.
yeah.
But I think Zaliski, I like him a lot. That player, I think he's like one of those really um, utility type players that you can have take advantage of.
Yeah, he would be like more in the midfield though, right?
Hmm.
Rather than yeah. Um but going into like predictions for the second leg, kind of what are you expecting?
Um, well, I was expecting the first leg to be low scoring because Barca tired legs, and I thought Inter would grab the lead early and then just kind of sit back. But man, I think oh, I'll let you say your prediction first. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think Barca are going to win the second leg. I think it's going to be similar to PSG. I think it'll be 3-2 Barca, maybe 3-1. I think Barca is going to have a ton of chances. I think Barca should have had a few more today. Could have been 4 or 5. And I mean, even going back to the previous Champions League matchup between Bayern and Inter, I feel like Bayern were very unlucky. Kane missed a couple for Kane's level, should have buried them. So I think Inter's been hanging on by a thread at times as of late. Um, so I think Barca, though, had that extra rest too. And I think the biggest thing for Barca is potentially getting Lewandowski back. That's one, but I think the biggest thing is the return of Balde. I don't think Dumfries is going to have the same impact in the second leg.
Oh, is he back for second leg?
Yeah, and defensively, he's
Mm.
a lot better. They've
Oh
looked
yeah.
they look completely different with him back there. So uh, I just don't see Dumfries having the same impact. So uh, yeah, I have to go with Barca for the second leg.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about Baldy. I thought he was out for the year for some reason. Um, I'll give you two predictions. I'll give you one. This is the biasness, just because I guess closeted Inter fan, more so Inzaghi fan. I'll say 2-1. Inzaghi will learn his lessons.
You think
Um,
Barca's putting only one on their heads?
but
It's
then,
one.
but then, realistically, I think it'll be Barca 3-2.
Yeah, Barca at least two goals at least.
Mhm. Yeah, I think realistic 3-2, but I'll go bias in this side. I'll rock with that 2-1.
Yeah, I'm worried for Inter, especially if they're missing Lautaro Martinez.
That'll
Because
be huge
at
for
times he
him.
reminds me of like Griezmann, where he can drop in. Like, yeah, he's a striker, but the way he links up,
Mhm.
he also scores a lot of goals. So I feel like that's just going to be a huge miss as well.
Mhm. Yep. And then before we move on, I just want to give a quick craziness that happened in the Asian AFC, the Asian Football Cup Champions League. Uh, so yesterday, Al Hilal they lost to Al Ahly. Two Saudi Arabia teams went up against each other. They lost.
Hilal has
Three,
Mahrez, right?
Hilal, no, they have Malcolm and Mitrovic and
Oh
Ruben Neves and Milinkovic Savic, but and Koulibaly who got the red. But Al Ahly they got uh Ivan Tony, Firmino, and Mahrez and
Oh, Al
Kesse.
Halali, yeah.
They won 3-1. So today's matchup was Al Nasser versus a Japanese team, Kawasaki, and everyone thought it would be a Al Nasser Al Hilali final for this AFC Championship, but Al Nasser got upsetted 3-2.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, Mane scored early, I saw.
mm-hmm.
Dude, that's insane.
Craziness.
Three Saudi teams? That's insane.
Yeah,
On the come up. I wonder where
craziness.
is the final gonna be in Saudi?
The final, I believe so.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be insane.
I think so.
But props to the Asian, some of the Asian leagues now.
Asian
It's
Nation, baby.
the new Champions League. Uh, but yeah, moving on to tomorrow, we'll continue with the. We won't cover any of the league games, but we'll just cover the European games. So we'll start with the Conference League. We have Chelsea. We travel out to Sweden to play uh, Gerhargen Garden. Gerarden.
Sounds
I'm probably
sounds pretty good.
I'm
That sounds
butchering
legit.
it, but I don't know anything about this team. I didn't really do much research either, so I'm backing us to win this one. Did you come out with any research on this team?
I just see that they're sitting in 11th in their league, so
Okay.
should be easy dubs. I hope.
I hope so. I hope so. Um, but yeah, the more interesting, the saucy matchup. Justin Zeltner, one of our buddies, if you're listening, here's some Betis talk for you. Trust me, Narv and I love watching Betis. Such a free flowing team, fun team to watch. They're going
Anthony,
up Anthony. But they're going up against Fiorentina, who is also a pretty fun team to watch. Um, De Gea, uh,
Cassette the
the
Titanic.
keeper, uh, keeper there, but like Fiorentina, they've been solid this year too. Um, so what are your expectations for this game?
Uh,
And
I
this is
think
the
Real
first leg.
Betis is at home. I think Real Betis will
Hmm.
take the first leg. Um, but I think it will be a close matchup.
I think Betis, Pellegrini's done amazing, especially rejuvenating Isco. Um, I mean, they've beat Madrid, taken a point from Barca at home too, so they're good at home.
Hmm.
But yeah, to your point, I think it's going to be super entertaining. Just two free flowing teams. But I do worry for Fiorentina a little with Keane out. He might be out. I know he had to go to France for some personal issues, but they have some other injuries. Which, if that happens, I think Fiorentina might. I hope they don't, but they might sit in a low block tomorrow. I really hope they
Doda's hurt for
don't.
Fiorentina.
Yeah. So if they do sit in a low block, I think the guy to watch is going to be Isco. He's going to be the man that has to
Mhm.
unlock the keys. So, but I'll go with
Also, shouts
Betis.
Betis. Yeah, let's go with Betis. Also, shouts out to Real Betis and their media team. They're unveiling for Mark Barta's contract extension. Uh, that was uh, that was elite video.
I've not
Um,
seen that.
I'll send it over to you on the gram, but basically they were showing off retro Real Betis kits. Um, there were like 8 players that were involved, and they were handing out like a goodie bag with a jersey. And Mark Barta, he got his, showed off his retro kit, and then the next player threw on a retro kit, and on the back it said Barta 2027, and they turned around to reveal it to all the players. Uh,
Oh, hi.
yeah, it
Oh,
was
that's sick.
legit. Anthony was involved in the video. I was like, this they love an Anthony over
Oh,
there.
they love. But I mean, he's been cooking since going over
Hmm.
there. Um, but yeah, hopefully it's an open game. I think if it's an open game, high scoring game. If not, I think Isco is going to have to unlock it, be a low scoring. But I do think Betis will win. But going to Europa League, let's start off with Bodo Glint versus Tottenham Hotspur. Um, I'll go first here. I think uh, I actually was looking into Bodo Glint a little more because I've been mispronouncing their name a ton and I feel kind of bad. But I was just kind of curious. Um, they're actually a decent team. At home, they're actually super strong and tough to play against. Uh, so I think Spurs kind of have to apply pressure here, especially because Bodo Glint's going to be missing their 3 best players. 2 are on attack and 1 in the midfield. So I think James Madison is going to have a fun time. Bodo Glint against these bigger teams, they've been sitting back a lot, and they defend really well. But I do think James Madison is that type of player to. Uh, he kind of enjoys those types of game where he's on the ball a lot. So I think Spurs will come out with a win. Either like I'll go with 2-0.
Yeah, I think being home definitely helps. So I'll go. Th- they'll have a 2 goal advantage. I'll say 3-1. Um, but yeah, this game's key because being home, got to take advantage, especially for Ange's sake.
Yeah, and they definitely don't want to go back to the Arctic because that's a tough place to play apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go to the main event. Uh, Athletic Bilbao versus Manchester United. Um, I see that poster on your right. That's not where the game will be taking place. It will be in Spain. But I'll let you talk about your boys first, because I want to talk about Athletic Bilbao. Um, but I'll let you take it away first with your prediction.
Um, Bias, obviously, us. I'll always rock with us no matter what. We could be playing our youth team versus this Bilbao team. I'm gonna still say us. That's just the delusional in me, of course. It's the beauty of the sport. But unfortunately, I think obviously we did get the tougher draw. Uh, I was
Excuses are
actually
coming out.
I was actually having a lot of hope coming into it just because I thought Nico Williams was injured, but that's not the case. And I thought that would have been a big loss if he was missing for him. Um,
I will say I don't know if you guys got unlucky. I feel like you guys lucked out drawing Athletic Bilbao because
Ver-
yeah, you guys get to play two legs versus them, and can potentially make it up in one of the legs versus I feel like I would rather not face them in the finals, especially like if it's in Spain
Mm.
and just like a one leg game, like I feel like that would be tough.
Oh, gotcha. Um, yeah, that's a good point.
Gotcha. F that.
No, that is a good point. At first, I didn't know where you were going with it, but I was like, yeah, if it's the one-off game would have been the biggest game.
Yeah,
They would have
exactly.
had crazy support. Um, I think one positive is I saw videos of Ahmad Diallo back in training. I don't think he'll be fit enough for this one, but I think second leg he definitely could be back. Um, so I think this first leg, as long as we don't lose more than 2 goals, I think we'll be fine. Even if we take a 1-0 loss, 2-1 loss, I think we'll still be in it.
So that's what you're expecting, like your
Yeah,
true
I think
belief.
we might lose. We'll lose the first leg, but I think we'll Old Trafford magic happens second leg.
Yeah, I think this one I'm going with. I think this is just storybook Bilbao. I think they're gonna win it tomorrow. I mean, the final is in Bilbao too, so I feel like it's just storybook destined for them to make it to the final. I do think I really like this Bilbao team. I've been watching them a little more this year, and defensively, they're insane. Like who's their coach? Ernesto Valverde. Like I know he was kind of hard done by at Barca, but like he's a pretty top manager, I would say. And defensively, they've been really good. They're the best defensive team in La Liga, hands down. I think they've conceded like 26 goals only, which is mental. Um, but also like the way they play. Like I know the Williams brothers are kind of like the star boys of the team, but I feel like they just gel together much better. Like they're a team. What am I trying to say? Like it's not just those two guys. Like they are the big headliners, but um, their midfield I think is going to dominate United tomorrow. There's one player that I really hope plays. I know he was injured the past two, and he wasn't at practice, but their attacking midfielder Sensei. Uh,
I
their
think he's
attacking
supposed to be out the first
Ah,
leg. First leg he'll be out, I believe.
okay. Yeah, that's one player that I was hoping would play, and I thought this would kind of be him announcing himself to the world. But there's another player, defensive mid, that I think is just gonna him versus your inverted wingers and Bruno is gonna be interesting. Is Mikel um, Jargazar? Um, he's only 21, but defensive mid, he's been
21.
to anyone. He's been incredible. I think he's about to get a big move to the Premier League because I could see he just looks like a Premier League type player. Um, so
Cheaper option probably than like Zubamendi too.
yeah, I could see him at like Liverpool. I I don't think he's really talked about much because I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure why, but I think tomorrow he's going to announce himself as well to the world.
Mhm.
So those are my key matchups. I think you guys are going to struggle to score, especially at home at Bilbao. I didn't realize at Bilbao too, because there's a lot of players that like just seem like young names and stuff. And I was looking into the team a little more, but they also have an academy team that's huge, like Barca's. Uh, but they have never been relegated from La Liga, like Real and Barca are the only two other teams. Um, they also focus on their academy development program, and the only players that are allowed to play for Bilbao is if you're from like that Spanish region, the Basque Spanish region. So that's kind of their policy. So it kind of makes sense like why they gel together so well is because a lot of these guys like grew up Bilbao fans or they're from like that area. So you can't be like a player from born in England, a descent from
I
England,
never knew that.
and play for Bilbao. You have to be a descent from the Basque Spanish region.
Yeah, I'm just looking that up now, and like, yeah, that's wild to think about.
So I think
Dang, I did
it
not
just
know
feels
that.
like a storybook right now with especially the
Mhm.
final being in Bilbao. Um, so I'll go with like a 2-1 win tomorrow.
I will say, Hoyland, you got to run right versus these guys. Their back line, at least, they got some aging guys. So I think that's the only part where we could try to take advantage. Um, but yeah, it'll be a tricky matchup. I think Ernesto Valverde goes under the radar a bit as a manager as well. Just because his time at Barca was slightly stinky, but then again, that was one
Mhm.
of their rougher years.
Yeah, I think Hoyland tomorrow is going to struggle. Bilbao is a really good defensive team, but I think that man Bruno, he's somehow gonna he'll have one crazy chance he scores. I feel like,
Magician.
yeah, that's the only way y'all are scoring tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll be an intriguing matchup. Um, but yeah, to your points, it is a bit storybook for them. The final being held uh, at their them being home if they make
Hmm.
final. So hey, but we've seen crazier things before. Chelsea beating Bayern in their own backyard.
Elite memories.
So I think that's all for the European competitions. Um, so we'll wrap it up, or should we?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys again, hanging with us, listening to Champions League talk and Europa League predictions. Well, we hope you enjoyed the chat. Make sure to subscribe, drop us a rating, share the pod with friends and family. Until then, keep the football chatter alive, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.